Hola, my name is Amanda Lohman, and this is my Spanish Contact Hour presentation for the month of September. So, my summary of my contact hours was that I watched a television show called Donde Está Elisa for 2.5 hours. This translates to Where is Elisa? And it was about a girl who was kidnapped and disappeared from her family, and it goes through on the whole investigation of her kidnapping. And the next show I watched was Grey's Anatomy, and I watched this for an hour. And this is an American TV show, but I found it translated in Spanish. And so although it didn't have Spanish culture directly tied to it, I really enjoyed hearing the medical terminology and hearing it in Spanish instead of English. The next thing that I listened to was Spanish radio, and I listened to 100.3 FM, and this is for an hour, and I just listened to it on my way to work and class every morning. My next thing I'm going to talk about is the vocabulary for the show Donde Está Elisa. So some of the words that I learned was viña, which is vineyard, cadena de supermercados, and that is supermarket chain, diario is newspaper, efectivo is cash, and la orilla del mar is the seaside, and matar is to kill. Some of the cultural nuances I noticed in Donde Está Elisa was that family was extremely involved. It started the show off in the first episode, and there was a huge gathering for one of the family members' birthday parties, and all the cousins were there, and all the aunts and uncles, and throughout the show, a lot of them were together all the time, whether it be after school or they lived together. Family seemed extremely important. And I also noticed that it was an extremely dramatic show. So like the telenovelas are very known to be like soap opera-like, and this was definitely true within this show. So then the next show was Grey's Anatomy, and some of the vocabulary that I learned in this was esquizofrénica, and that's schizophrenic. Pruebas is tests. El milagro is miracle. And el corazón is the heart. And la sutura is the suture. Cultural nuances in Grey's Anatomy. Since it was an American TV show that was just translated into Spanish, it wasn't completely tied to Spanish culture, directly integrated into it. Other than a few characters did have some backgrounds of Spanish culture, and some of the patients within different episodes did as well. But some of the differences and similarities to Spanish TV that I did notice is that although this wasn't a telenovela, there was still a lot of drama played into the show. But one of the differences was that family wasn't largely incorporated, as in some of the other shows that are on Spanish TV. And then, just like in the telenovelas, like I was saying, how they were really dramatic, there was a lot of scandal that was involved, which did tie in with some of the Spanish TV shows. So it was slightly similar, but I mostly watched it just for the medical terminology, which was extremely helpful in hearing in the different language. Then the vocabulary from the radio. Some of the words I learned was ganar, which is to win. Bailando is dancing. Béisbol is baseball. Música is music. And tocando ahora is now playing. And some of the things that I noticed when I was listening to the radio is a lot of the commercials played over and over again, just like they do on American radio. And it was also interesting because I was able to pick out a lot of times when the talk show hosts were talking about things, they were local. So a lot of the times when people would call in, they'd be winning tickets to different things, and the Diamondbacks were some of the tickets that they gave away. Cultural nuances from the radio. I did notice, and a lot of the things within Spanish culture that I was watching throughout this project was talk show hosts and just actors in general, when anyone is speaking Spanish, they speak extremely fast, especially in the commercials. I don't know how anyone understands the language without slowing things down. It was just flying through the words. The music itself was extremely lighthearted. It was almost like party music to think. I just seemed it was always upbeat and happy. And some similarities to American culture that I found within this, again, was the contests and giveaways on the radio shows. It was kind of cool to hear them tie in some things that we hear on our radio stations normally too. So in conclusion, this project, it really realized how hard it was to pick out some of the few words I know in Spanish when I was listening to a lot of these things, especially the radio, like I was saying. But also, it just was hard to try to understand things in general just because I'm not fluent in the language, and these people in the shows are obviously very fluent and can speak clearly, but it was definitely difficult to understand, especially because people talk so fast. I also thought it was a really great way to experience the language in its natural form, because then taking this class, like, I haven't really heard the language itself, and this was a great way to hear that. And I was really enjoyed how different some of the Spanish telenovelas were compared to normal American TV shows. So it was interesting to listen to those and see the different dramatic effects involved in them. And overall, I just really enjoyed listening, and I'm definitely interested in listening to a lot more of it, especially the shows. Donde Está Elisa, I kind of got hooked on it just by watching a few of those episodes, and I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of interested in what happens throughout the rest of the season. But that's all, so thank you.